The Zodiac Killer, America's most infamous unsolved murderer. In the late 1960s, Northern California was gripped by fear. A killer was on the loose, not just murdering people, but taunting police, mocking the media, and turning murder into a public game. He called himself the Zodiac. The first attacks on December 20, 1968. Teenagers Betty Lou Jensen, 16, and David Faraday, 17, parked their car on a quiet road near Vallejo, California. Someone approached the car, forced them out, and shot them. David died instantly. Betty tried to run. She was shot 5 times in the back. There were no suspects, no motives, no clues. Police didn't yet know this was only the beginning. A killer who wanted attention. On July 4, 1969, another young couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Majow, was sitting in a parked car after fireworks. A man walked up and opened fires. Darlene was killed. Michael survived, critically wounded, but gave police a description. Less than an hour later, local newspapers received a letter. The writer confessed to both murders. He demanded newspapers publish his message or he would kill again. He signed it with a symbol, a circle with a cross, like a gun sight. That was the first time the name appeared. This is the Zodiac speaking. The codes. Over the next few years, Zodiac sent cryptic letters and ciphers to newspapers. He claimed responsibility for killings, some confirmed, others questionable. One cipher was cracked by a schoolteacher and his wife. The decoded message was horrifying. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." Zodiac claimed his victims would become slaves for him in the afterlife. He never showed remorse, only pride. The Lake Berryessa attack. On September 27, 1969, 2 college students, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, were relaxing by Lake Berryessa. A man wearing a black executioner-style hood approached them. He tied them up calmly, then stabbed them repeatedly. Before leaving, he wrote on their car door listing the dates of his previous attacks. Cecilia died 2 days later. Brian survived. This was the only known attack where the killer was seen clearly and still. He vanished. A murder in San Francisco. 1 month later, Zodiac struck again, this time in San Francisco. He shot a cab driver, Paul Stein, then casually wiped the cab down and walked away. Teenagers witnessed the crime and gave police a description. Police arrived and let the killer walk past them. A mistake in the suspect description allowed Zodiac to escape. The suspects. Over the years, many suspects were named. One man, Arthur Lee Allen, became the most famous. He owned a Zodiac brand watch. He lived near the crime scenes. Friends claimed he made disturbing comments. But DNA, handwriting analysis, and fingerprints never proved it. No one has. The silence. After 1974, the letters stopped. Did Zodiac die? Was he imprisoned for another crime? Or did he simply stop? No one knows. Police officially link Zodiac to 5 murders, though he claimed 37. Why this case still haunts people? He was never caught. He mocked law enforcement. He turned murder into a puzzle. He could have been anyone's. To this day, people wonder, did we walk past him in a grocery store, sit next to him on a bus? When the Zodiac's letters stopped in the mid-1970s, many believed the nightmare was finally over. But silence did not mean answers. It meant uncertainty, and that uncertainty would haunt investigators and the public for decades. A trail gone cold. By the late 1970s, police departments across California were overwhelmed. Evidence was scattered between jurisdictions. Some files were lost. Others were never shared. The Zodiac had succeeded in what few killers ever managed to do. He outweighed the system. As years passed, witnesses aged, memories faded, and physical evidence degraded. The case grew colder with every decade. Arthur Lee Allen's. Among all the suspects, one name refused to disappear. Arthur Lee Allen's. Allen lived near multiple crime scenes. He was fired from his job as a schoolteacher after accusations of inappropriate behavior with students. Friends later told police that Allen had made disturbing comments about killing couples and using the name Zodiac. Most chilling of all, he owned a Zodiac brand watch, featuring the same crossed circle symbol used in the killer's letters. Investigators searched his home. They found weapons. They found suspicious writings. But they never found proofs. DNA from Zodiac letters did not match Allen. Handwriting analysis failed to conclusively identify him. Arthur Lee Allen died in 1992. If he was the Zodiac, he took the truth to the grave. If he wasn't then the real killer was still out there. Other suspects. Allen was not alone. Over the years, dozens of men were investigated. Some were criminals. Some were loners. Some were seemingly ordinary people with dark secrets. One suspect was a merchant marine with knowledge of codes. Another was a man obsessed with newspapers and police scanners. Each suspect fit part of the puzzle. None fit all of it. The Zodiac seemed to exist in the gaps between certainty. The ciphers revisited. For decades, one of Zodiac's most famous ciphers, the 340 cipher, remained unsolved. Many believed it held the killer's name. Others thought it was meaningless nonsense, designed only to mock investigators. Then, in 2020, more than 50 years later, a team of amateur codebreakers finally cracked it. The message was unsettling. Zodiac claimed he was not afraid of the gas chamber. He insisted that killing gave his life meaning. But once again, there was no name, no identities, no final confession. Even when solved, the Zodiac's puzzles refused to give closure. Was Zodiac telling the truth? One of the greatest mysteries remains this. Did Zodiac really kill 37 people? Police officially connect him to 5 murders and 2 attempted murders. Some experts believe he exaggerated to inflate his legend. Others fear he may have committed crimes that were never linked to him. If even a fraction of his claims were true, the real number of victims could be far higher. And that possibility still chills investigators today. Modern technology, old crimes. In recent years, cold case teams have turned to modern forensic science. DNA genealogy used to catch killers decades later has renewed hope. The same method that identified the Golden State Killer has been applied to Zodiac evidence. So far, results remain inconclusive. Some evidence may be contaminated. Other samples may not belong to the killer at all. Time has become the Zodiac's greatest accomplice. Theories that refuse to die. Some believe Zodiac was a single man. Others think he may have been multiple people using the same name. A few suggest he stopped because he was arrested for an unrelated crime, or that he died quietly, unnoticed, long before anyone knew his name. What makes the case so disturbing is not just what we know, but what we don't see. Why the Zodiac still haunts us. The Zodiac killer wasn't just a murderer. He was a performer. He craved attention. He wanted fear to spread faster than bullets. And in that way, he succeeded. Even today, his letters are studied. His crimes are debated. His identity remains unknown. The Zodiac killer didn't just disappear. He became a ghost. Final question. More than half a century later, the question remains unanswered. Was the Zodiac a criminal mastermind? Or simply a man who was never caught? And perhaps the most unsettling thought of all, if the Zodiac were alive today, would we even recognize him?